today I'm going to be working on the pond garden. My goal for the day is to get the liner in. And one thing that I was thinking about was ultimately I'm going to end up putting pea gravel in around it with the plants instead of like a mulch or something. And what's going to happen is that pea gravel is going to want to fall down into the pond, and I don't want that. So I found some extra patio blocks. Anytime you ever do a patio, you end up with extras. Found some extras, and I'm going to go around the border of the pond with these, and then my liner is going to come up and over this, and then the pea gravel will be about this deep, and it will be less likely to get into the pond. So that is what I'm working on today. I have a stack of patio blocks, and we'll get those stretched around here, and then we'll get the liner laid on top of it. Putting the liner in is like putting a square peg in a round hole. You got to put it in, smooth it out as best you can, and go from there. Ultimately, on top of this, once I get the pea gravel in, on top of this I want to do some type of flat slate type rock to kind of border this, and then the plants will go around the whole thing. So that's what I'm working on today. We're going to put these blocks in, put the liner in, and if that's all the farther I get, then I'll be good with that, because that's about what I have for time, I believe. So I think I'm gonna set this video up on a time lapse, and then once I'm done, come back and recap, and we'll go from there. Well, I got that done. Didn't take long at all. Didn't figure it would. It kind of gives it defines the shape a little bit more. I do like that. And really the only reason it's here, there is no structural purpose for it. It's just to retain the pea gravel that I'm going to put in here. I had a big root right here. Thought maybe I'll just leave that, and then there's a little shallow spot up there. I didn't really want to dig that out. It's fine the way it is, but it does at this point give you a little bit of an idea of the shape of the pond. Carla wasn't extremely crazy about the shape. She just said it's a big round hole. So it is what it is. We're gonna go with that. So now I'm going to take my liner. I have flexible liner, and I'm going to stretch that out. It's way more than I need, so I know that I have more than enough. I'm going to stretch it out and get it worked down into this hole. Wow, this is going wonderful. Really quickly today. I'll just hop down in here. You'll see that, like I said, round peg and a square peg and a round hole. You're always going to have some seams. I'm just going to try to smooth out as much as I can. I'm going to try to make the bottom as smooth as possible, because that is something that actually could be cleaned. I was going to put down weed block anyways, so probably not going to trim much of this off, but I will probably trim a little bit of this out, like this big chunk here. But as I cut it, I just left it so that it would tuck down behind my brick, and then when I put the pea gravel in there, it'll just form right in there and hold it right in there, and then I can go on the top with my slate. I do believe, and I hadn't really planned on doing this, but why not? I think I'm going to put water in it right now. So I'm going to run the hose over here, fill it up, take a look. I'll do a little trimming first, but where it sits is about where it's going to be. I'll do a little bit of smoothing on it. But as I'm putting the water in, also, like if it's sagging in any spot, I want to get that sag out of there. And you could put stakes in here, like landscaping fabric, to hold it. So. But as it's filling, I'm just going to kind of try to work some of the wrinkles out, because you really can't move this liner once the water's in it. It's just too much weight. pushing up against it. Just going to try to work everything out as it's filling. All right. So I brought you down in the hole here with me. I did trim quite a bit off of here, and my thought was I'm going to put landscape fabric down, but the plants aren't going to grow through this. There's not going to be any water passing through it. So rather than cut this, I just tucked it under. And then over here, I tried to fold the liner so that we had maybe 1 or 2 big creases instead of a whole bunch of small ones. So I got this a pretty big crease, and this is a pretty big crease, and then I think the rest will just be what it is. I am keeping an eye right here as this rises. I want to try to take that sag out of there. It's just not laying quite flat like I wanted. And then as I cut over here, I didn't leave very much overlap, but really once the pea gravel's on here, that's what's holding this from flopping back in or whatever. So it's not that big a deal that I have one small spot where there's no liner over here. The pea gravel is going to hold this. It's going to hold this. It's not going to be an issue. But just as you're cutting, just make sure, in this situation, I had to make sure that I left enough so that the pea gravel would hold the liner itself down there. I don't know the gallons that I'm going to have here. I'm going to say somewhere around 300 gallons, but I don't know. I could probably calculate it, but I'm just going to guess because I don't really care. I'm going to shut the video off. I'm going to work on this a little bit more, probably. Alright, so I got some landscape fabric around the edges there. I didn't put any up here. This is a real small area. I wasn't sure how it was going to stay, so I just didn't put any. I could have. My daughter Juliana had some of this stuff. I'm calling it pea gravel. I don't know if that's the official name for it. But she had some of this and wasn't going to use it in that area anymore, so I said I'll take it. And I'm going to just spread it out around here. And hopefully that's enough to fill in because there wasn't much left when I got done. So I'm going to go ahead and get to that and try to get all that done. I just turned the water back on, so the water's filling up. Get the water up to the top. We'll see where we're at. Well, I was pretty close figuring the pea gravel that I put in. I hauled 12 5-gallon buckets full because it was in the back of her yard and that was the only way to get it out. And I'm probably about 2 short. I did get most of this in, but I could probably use 2 more and it'll level this off nicely. I forgot to shut the pond or the water off when I was thinking that I wanted it right at that level, but so it came right up to the top. Not a big deal. It's leaking over just a little bit right here. It'll evaporate really quickly, and you can see that I did get some gravel down into the pond, but my border with the brick right here is going to keep the pea gravel back from just rolling in. So I think that was probably a pretty good idea. From here, my next step is going to be to put the flat slate rock all the way around and then do some planting. So that's as far as I got today, and I'm out of time for the day. So that is all I am going to be doing. Pretty happy with the progress. Wasn't really sure I was going to fill it, but I figured, why not? And it doesn't look too bad. So we got to do the flat rock slate and a fountain and do some planting. That's what we got going on there. I did extend this out because I do eventually want to run this border that I have along this backside and put gravel along here, because it's just kind of a pain upkeeping the grass up to this point. And then I have these really tall grassy things growing back here that I think is what I want to plant along the back side in here. That's my thought. I could get outvoted on that, but put those tall grassy things along the back. I wanted to keep this, the pond being the focus, not the flowers, just the pond, keep things around it simple. So we'll see where we end up with that. It could end up being full of flowers. I don't know. It's going to be really hard to plant though, so I think I'm okay. I think I got it. And then trim out my weed block over there, and eventually I want to do rock, gravel, pea gravel all along the fence line. You see how it's just really hard to keep up over there, and that's where everything drains out when it rains. So a little bit more work. Pretty good progress today. This took me having to go and haul the gravel. If you count the digging the hole, I'm probably at an 8-hour day right at this point. Setting the block, everything is probably at an 8-hour day. To set the rest of the block up and plant, looking at probably another half day, maybe 2 days. So it would be a good weekend project for sure. Well, I'm back working on the pond today. I got some flat rocks to go around the border here. I got looking at it, was just like, I gotta work on this. So they sell this stuff by the pound, and I think that I'm going to end up being a little bit short. So I just have to kind of place it around there, try to figure out where I want it to go. I might have enough, I might not. I picked out some pieces specifically like this one and this one where I'm hoping they'll go in a certain spot. Like I'm thinking a corner for those, and these straight runs. These are all about 2 feet long. So I'm hoping that I have pretty close to enough, because I spent way more than I thought I was going to. And then I only have to get maybe 1 or 2 more pieces. So what I have to do now is just take what I have here and put it in the pond and just kind of place it and try to figure out where it is that it's going to fit best, where it's going to look good, and we're going to go from there. I did buy, this is Dove Gray. It's got a little bit of sparkle in it. I thought that was kind of cool. The natural was what I was looking for, but this has a little bit of sparkle in it, so that's why I went with this. You'll probably see it once it's down on the pond itself. So I'm going to get to it here, and we're going to get this laid out. Well, that didn't take long at all. I laid out what I have, and like I said, I had some pieces specifically picked out thinking that's where I wanted them. I don't know if that's exactly what as I'm looking at it, I'm not sure exactly that's what I had in mind with those pieces. This one's got a long section off the back. That piece over there still may do some rearranging, but as you can see, most of it's up. I do have a couple pieces I need to go get, so at least now I have an idea of what I'm going to end up with, or where I'm going to end up with this. Like I said, it ended up being a little bit more than what I was expecting today, and I don't think I'm done laying it out. I like these 3 on the front. I like these over here. I've got an open space here, and I'm not crazy about those 3 over there, so I may rearrange those. Alright, I've done a little bit of rearranging. I took one of my bigger ones and kind of split a corner off of it where it was really bulky. It was this one right here. I split this one apart, and I got that piece over there, and they don't cut easy, they don't break easy, and they break into a lot of pieces. So what I did was I took some of the pieces and I just kind of put them around that one to kind of try to blend it in a little bit. But what it does is it gives me, right now I have 2 more pieces to get, 2 more sections to fill, and I can choose to put in there what I want to put in there. I was going to put down like a bead of caulk around here, set the slate in there so that it would, wouldn't move around. I don't think I'm going to have that problem. This stuff is 20, right around 20-25 pounds a piece. Some of it, like that corner piece, is probably a little heavier, but most of it's about 20 pounds, so I don't think I'm going to have much problem with it shifting. And right now I'm going to net some of this crud off the top, but I think that's as far as I'm going to be able to take it right now, and I'm pretty happy with it. Like I said, I got a couple spots I got to fill. It'll just be a little chunk here and there. I can take some measurements and go over to the place where I got this stuff and pick out the pieces that I want. So this is essentially what it's going to be. We had these pots here. Carla said let's put them out, see what it looks like. So I think they look pretty good, and she still wants to do some planting in this, so we'll work on that. And like, I got pond liner there and a little bit more of this and a little bit more of that, and but for right now I kind of like it. And let's step back here a little bit, catch it in the sunlight. I like the way that this slate kind of covers up the liner, so you're not seeing the liner like it was without it. Obviously this is a corner I needed some more pea gravel in. Once I get that filled in, it'll be right up to the slate, and I think it's going to be fantastic. Kind of like that's what I planned. Probably why most of my projects are 90% done is because I get this far and it's like, oh, it's done enough, I'm gonna go do something else. We'll get the rest of the pea gravel in, we'll get everything planted, we'll get these pieces filled in, but the bulk of it's done, and I'm gonna call it done, even though I've got a couple other things to do. Just giving it a quick look, I really like the way it come out. It come out pretty much how I was imagining it, and I think with those other pieces in there, those other pieces on the shelf with a fountain, I think we're good to go. I am going to look at fountains this weekend and see what exactly I need to get, what I should get, but overall this is the look I was going for. Like I said, this is maybe a 2-day project really, and that's everything. That's digging the hole, that's putting up the border, that's putting the liner in. I mean, it just really didn't take that much time to do all of this stuff. So I'm pretty good with where it's at, and the other stuff we'll get pieced in when we can. But for right now, I'm calling it good. Oh, it is the middle of July and it is hot. I finally got my pump for my pond garden ordered, and it finally got here. I ordered this was from Home Depot. This is a Beckett pond pump kit, and it comes with different attachments for the fountain, which is kind of why I ordered it, and it looked like a really good unit, and I got it all set up here on the bench. I have plugged it in and it functions, so now I got to go set it in the pond itself. So we're gonna hook it up. I'm thinking that I'm gonna have to set it on something. I may have to zip tie it to whatever I set it on, like a brick or something. This is a pretty heavy unit. I don't think it would have to be, but I don't think it's tall enough. I think I want my water level right about here. I don't know where I want my water or where I want this sticking out at. So I have to kind of do some testing to see where it's gonna work the best. And so the height is going to have to be determined by how this is when it's out of the water. So I got to go do all that. Thankfully it's really super hot and it's not going to hurt my feelings at all to get in the pond. Alright, so I did some testing, came up with this, used some zip ties attached to a brick. I got 3 patio blocks standing here, leveled off. We tested the different heads. There's a huge disagreement in the household on which head is going to work, so we decided we would compromise and alternate. This one has multiple spray, and I like the one that just is domes out. It looks pretty cool. So we're going to run with this one for right now. I'm just going to set this back in here. The water is filthy dirty and it'll probably stay that way, but set it right there. It's fairly level. I may have to adjust where it's sitting based on where this ends up spraying, but I think that's probably pretty good. It came with a really long extension cord, but it wasn't quite long enough to reach my outlet. The other thing that we want to do today is we have a plant we found that we want to plant right in here, so we're going to be doing that as well. So I will do a final display once we've got that in. We still have these lemon tree plants on the sides in pots. We have a bleeding heart out front that we're going to try to put in here. We got to do a little research and make sure this is a good spot for it. This is the spray one. It came with 3 different heads. This one, and then there's the one that creates like a bell type thing, and then the other one's just kind of an open thing, and it just kind of blew the water straight out. I did have to put there's an adjustable flow rate thing on there down at the bottom. I put that on there because it was really wild. It was coming up to probably like here, and it was kind of just spraying all over. This is a much more manageable size for this particular pond. This one's working pretty good. So I'm going to do a little cleanup. We're going to move that bleeding heart, and this project will be considered done. I'm sure throughout the years we'll add things. I got 2 more pieces of rock I got to get. We'll put some more flowers, things like that in it. But I'm going to consider this one done for right now. This particular pump fountain thing, bought it through Home Depot. It was 50 bucks. It was pretty cheap, I thought. I looked at some different like Menards and Lowe's, and they were considerably more for what looked to be about the same thing. Maybe not. The reason I picked this one because I had multiple fountain heads, and it had a flow rate, or an adjustable flow rate on it, so I could adjust the flow. I thought those were 2 things that in this pond I wasn't sure how big of a fountain it was going to produce, so I wanted to be able to adjust the flow rate, and I'm glad I did because it really needed it with this head. Not so much with the bell. The bell it's a little more regulated, but with this one it kind of just without the regulator thing on there and running wide open, it was kind of just spraying everywhere, which I didn't really want. So this was pretty cool. We'll get that plant moved, get the Mother's Day swing moved around, and we'll sit and enjoy our pond garden tonight. Well, just to give you a little perspective, it's 5 o'clock and we are in full shade. Absolutely love this tree in our yard. We're in full shade. I got the swing kind of position. I got the bleeding heart transplanted. We'll see how it does. Hopefully it'll take off. The roots were, I don't know. We'll see. Putting a little bit of water in, bringing our line up a little bit. Got the fountain going. We're going to sit around here tonight and enjoy. So if you like this particular video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you like the DIY stuff. Remember, I said earlier that this is a pretty easy project. This was probably a good day, maybe a weekend, depending on, if you've got all your supplies, you could easily get it done in a day. But, it's not a long-term project. It's something you could easily get done in a day or 2 if you've got it. So, again, make sure you like the video, and we will see you next time on Renshar Garden.